All right, guys, we are back with Meyer de Waal at Meyer de Waal Attorneys, and we are talking about structure for my 50 by 4 challenge. So, in the previous discussion, we spoke about not putting the shares in my or the company in my own name, not to put the property in my own name, but to put the property in a company, and the company, the shares to be held by a trust. So, Meyer, tell us all the different types of trusts there are. And which trust would be best to own the shares in this company of mine?
I'm first going to start with a trust that's created in the world. Now, you may think it's crazy, or it's funny when I discuss this, but quite often I ask people, you want to go the trust route, and say, no, I've really got a trust. And then whenever they produce the trust documents, it actually comes out that the trust was created in the will of the deceased parent. So it's quite important first to establish what type of trust was created, because you can also create a trust in your will, but only kicks in the day that you die, or maybe one of your parents died. So let's move on to the next trust, because this is not the ideal trust that you would like to use to build a portfolio, because the conditions of that trust and the authority of the trustees to act is very limited normally in a will trust. So the next trust would be to consider, will either be a business trust or an inter vivos trust. Now, inter vivos trust is a trust inter vivos, it's between living people, and that's a trust that we create during your lifetime. And the purpose will always be to look after the beneficiary, the benefit of the beneficiaries. And the beneficiary would quite often be business partners, or in a family trust, it can be the husband, the wife, and the children, to use such an example.
Okay.
So even in a discretionary trust, you can have various business partners to be partners in that, or beneficiaries in that trust, or you can have family members in that trust. And again, quite important, I had cases where people created the trust and they didn't have children, so they decided to nominate their family or friends, and they just gave me a list of 20 people. Be careful for that, because the banks are going to figure you once every year, and then you've got to pull out the IDs and the proof of addresses of all your beneficiaries. So rather consider carefully who are your beneficiaries, and try not to chop and change and amend your trust agreement too often. So give careful consideration when you put your trust deed together, who are your beneficiaries, and be limited with your beneficiaries, but don't restrict yourself that you find you don't have enough beneficiaries to distribute to whenever you want to do that.
Okay.
So the next trust will be a business trust, and that is more a case where 5 business partners decide to set up a trust, and they decide each of them wants to have 1/5 share in the beneficiaries stakeholder, if one can say that. And then you have a trust where you agree that there are 5 shares in the trust, or 5 beneficiaries, and each of them has a fixed 1/5 share. For me, that's very close to a company, and I would rather than go the company route, where you have a company, set up a company, you have a shareholders agreement, you have a memorandum of incorporation, and rather go the company route there than to try to set up a business trust. In my own practice, I've been doing trusts since 1980, and I must say that maybe twice a year I do set up a business trust, and all the other trusts are, or most of the other trusts are family trusts or discretionary trusts. So it's not to say it's a family trust, it's more a trust where the trustees have a discretionary nature to distribute the capital or the income compared with a business trust. So that for me would be the two different of the nature of fixed beneficiaries or beneficiaries with discretionary nature.
Okay. All right, so those are only 2 types of trusts?
No, you get a lot of charitable trust, you get a lot of other types of trusts as well. So if you want to set up a charity, you can either go and register a company that is a non-profit organization, or you can set up a trust as well that caters for that. You also have special needs trust, where you have a special rebate under the Income Tax Act if you have beneficiaries that you need to cater for example, a disabled child. And then there are certain tax benefits in terms of that special needs trust. So there's quite a host of trusts. There's a lot of trusts that you can use. You can use the trust agreements can become very complicated as well when you set up a particular agreement. So remember, a trust is an agreement by the trustees and the donor, where the donor sets up a document with a certain purpose, to achieve a certain purpose.
Yeah.
And he appoints the trustees, and inside the trust document he also then gives powers and duties to the trustee. So that's actually how a trust is created. It's agreement, so that's why it's called a trust agreement. Agreement between the donor and say, I'm appointing you as custodians of certain assets, and you've got to look after these assets for the benefit of my beneficiaries. So it's not to say even that your trustees need to be family members. It can be outside people completely as well.
Okay, great. Okay guys, again, we're going to take a bit of a break now, and so that we can make these videos as short as possible. We will carry on and talk now at the next discussion about what the best trust is for my specific 50 by 4 challenge. So stay tuned and keep watching.